Hi, everyone. I know there's still people joining. We have a display here beside us telling us who's on board. You're very welcome to the Fundraiser's Guide to Digital. For those of you who don't know, my name is Alan Archibald. I'm one of the creative directors in Persuasion Republic. And we are a fundraising and communications agency that works exclusively with charities, not-for-profits, and NGOs. I always tell people we only work for the good guys. And beside me is Adam Taylor.
Hi, I'm Adam Taylor, and I'm the head of media experience here at Havas Media. So you're all very welcome, albeit virtually, to the Havas Village here on Cuff Street. So we are a media buying group. We're part of a wider communications group globally that works with both the not-for-profit sector, but also commercially as well. We're here really today to talk about digital. We've a team of over 20 digital experts across all of the different bits and pieces that you would expect in regards to digital here at the agency. We're really looking forward to giving you a little bit of our expertise over the coming two sessions. And just a reminder, we do have two sessions. So we have today, which is day one, and then day two is next week at the same time, where I'll be speaking a little bit about digital strategy. We'll also have Fergal from our programmatic team, who'll be talking about display and online video, and Fiona from our paid search team, who'll be talking about, not surprisingly, paid search.
And in today's session, we're going to go through some key elements. We have a couple of Havas staff members here who are going to join us later on. We have a host of people behind the scenes here who are pressing buttons and working cameras. So we'll be asking them to help us as we go. There is a Q&A button in the webinar program there, so you can put in questions as we go. There'll be a question and answer service at the end. We'll try answer one or two of those questions, and any questions we don't get to answer during the actual webinar, we will come back to you on, obviously. I'm going to kick it off. Thanks a million, Adam. I'm Case. I could say roll with our Case, if you would. We're going to share screens now, so you can see the presentation. My job first is I wanted to sort of give you a brief overview of digital. Through the course of the rest of today and next week, the team here are going to go through the nuts and bolts of digital, all the tools that are available to you, how they work together, how they can be most effective to you, particularly from a fundraising point of view. The reason we wanted to do this is I heard a great phrase about a couple of months ago. So I at a seminar that I was at, somebody said that COVID had leapfrogged us about 3 or 5 years into the future in terms of our progression with digital. And now everybody has this sense that we're sort of scrambling around trying to catch up, that digital is this vast world that we all have to try and engage with, that none of us have the capacity, none of us have the budget, none of us have the time. And now for fundraisers, particularly we're coming into that wonderful time of the year called Christmas. And the importance of digital has never been clearer. So we just wanted to take these couple of sessions to take a sort of a step back, to demystify it a little bit, to try and break it down so that we could sort of see how it can be more simply used to NGOs and charities like yours, particularly facing the budgetary challenges and capacity challenges that you have. So my job first is just to give a couple of sort of key concepts that we think are going to be really useful to you going forward and are to us as we work with all our clients. Firstly, I want to demystify digital. I want to talk about finding your place in the digital landscape. And I want to talk about understanding your digital donors, because as every fundraiser knows, everything we do is entirely about the donor. I want to talk a little bit about the power of digital storytelling. And most importantly, I want to talk about integrating your message, because this is one of the keys on how to use digital most effectively. I'll take you through all those steps, step by step. Firstly, there's this great phrase, which I know you've all come across, called the digital landscape. It's used all the time, and it's daunting. When you Google the digital landscape, you should try it. This is what happens. What you get is that, or that, or that. The message that everybody seems to want to send out is that digital is vast, it's multi-layered, it's complex, it's very technical, and it can seem overwhelming. And there's this great burden on us that in order to do digital properly, we have to do everything at all layers, or else we're failing. And that's simply not true, because you can do so much even with limited capacities. Every little step or little improvement that you do in your digital will help you enormously. Because from a fundraising point of view, because all that matters is the donor, We have to start thinking, I think, rather than looking at digital from the inside out, as most of these charts do, you have to start looking at digital from the outside in. And the digital landscape, the only digital landscape that matters, is that. It's the, whatever it is, 4 by 2 inches that sits inside your donor's hand. It's their phone, it's their tablet, or it's their laptop. Whatever appears on that screen, that's the digital landscape. And everything's just got to be focused on that. So we can unclutter all the sort of technical thing about it and just remember it's about what appears on those screens for our donor. It's their email. And email is so criminally underused in so many organizations, including our own. We do not use it well enough. We do not use it often enough. And it's one of the most powerful fundraising tools that you have, simply just sending more effective emails more often. All your social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, YouTube is a really, really powerful sort of a way of getting brand awareness and engagement across. That's beginning to be used really well in the States and in the UK. And we here in Ireland, as always, are a couple of years behind. And your website is absolutely key. And so many of our websites, and ours is guilty of that, is largely a brochure for people to sort of browse through, as opposed to a landscape that people can actually engage with. To talk about your donor, there's a couple of key things. When we talk about digital, we talk it as if it's this other world, it's this other place. And it's not. It's just a different channel that people are talking through. So your donors, we talk about digital donors, and we tend to say that they're younger because they're more engaged on digital devices, and that is true, but they are also older. I would fall into that older O group, and ask yourself the questions: how many emails did you open today? How much screen time did you spend on your phone? There's that little app that reminder that pops up on your phone to say how much screen time you spent every day. And it's frightening. We all live our lives in a digital way, younger and older donors. They don't have to be digitally adept or digitally high tech. If they're engaging with their phone or their iPads, or tablets, or their computers, they are digital donors. And they don't think of themselves as digital donors. They're just donors. They are like every other donor. They care and they want to help. So it's about removing the sort of stigma of digital, if you want, from dealing with your donors. This is what's key about digital for me, and from my perspective and my understanding of it. What digital has changed in terms of donors and the way we communicate with them is that before, we were in control of the message. You posted out to people, or you paid for an ad somewhere on radio, and you were in control of what they heard and when they heard it. Now donors share control of that. They can look up on your phone, on their tablets, on their computers. They can look at your website. They can look at your social media anytime they want. They can also engage with it and comment with it. And most importantly, they can share it. So I can engage with a message about your organization that my brother or my friend shared to me. It's completely independent of you. That creates this notion, which we will come back to continually over the course of these sessions, of being always on and full funnel, these phrases you've heard about. It's basically because your donor is in partial control of what they see and when they see it. It's basically that your shop front is always open. Your shop is now 24 hours a day, and people are constantly browsing in your shop and looking in your window. So you have to make sure that the messages there are relevant and are live and are engaging. Finding your place in the digital landscape. And when you do look at it, there are so many different places, so many different aspects to it, and so many other things that you can work. It is always daunting. And the secret is always to keep it as simple as possible. The techniques and tools that we're going to talk about through this seminar and through next week are really about helping you do these key things. It's about knowing who your donors are. It's about how to use your data, how to segment it, how to test it, how to analyze and understand who your donors are. It's about knowing what channels they use, analyzing and testing those channels, and the myriad of tools and simple tools that are available for you to do that. And it's known about what each channel can do, because there's so many different channels in digital, and they all do very specific things, and some do it better than others. And it's about having some kind of sense of what they are and how they complement each other. And the other key thing is to get help. You don't have to do it all, and you don't have to do it on your own. Obviously, there's ourselves in Persuasion Republic. There's the great team here in Havas. You have your own digital teams, and there are many other agencies out there that can help. That can help build your strategy, build your content. You don't have to do it on your own. This is why it matters. From my perspective, as a creative director in Persuasion Republic, this is why it matters. It's not just that digital is another channel that we have to get on board with and another channel that we have to deal with. It's because digital is this extraordinary opportunity, because digital allows you to communicate and story tell and fundraise in ways that no other channel does. Because digital allows you to do this. I'm being told by my technical wizards that there may be some issue with the sound on that. We'll get to fix that. This is a wonderful man called John Wall. This is a campaign for the Mary Keating Foundation that's just gone live this week. John, it's about prostate cancer. John very passionately and movingly tells a story. That's a thing that you really can't do in any other medium, because digital allows you to be this. It allows you to be live. It allows you to be very current and very immediate. It allows you to be really tangible and really connected. It allows you to be really positive and really emotional in ways that other mediums can't provide, and it's really immediate. But the most important thing from my perspective, and if there's one thing I'd like you to keep in your head from my section of this seminar, it's this. The importance of digital is that digital allows you to be personal. Not just that people like John can tell their story and they can have live video and you can have live events. It's the fact that it's personal to the donor. It's personal because it appears in a very intimate space for them. It appears in their phone. It appears on their iPad. It appears in their own personal computer. It appears in messages that are sent to them by their sister or by their brother or their friends at work. It appears in ads that appear on websites that they trust. I'm a great Shamrock Rovers supporter. A digital ad on Shamrock Rovers instantly earns more trust with me because it's in familiar places for me. That's the personal nature of digital that I think is so vital and so underestimated, is that it appears in my very private, intimate space. And therefore, I believe it more and I trust it more. You'll hear an awful lot of people talking about, we don't want to put out very polished videos and very polished ads, that raw, handheld on an iPhone stuff works better. That can at times be true. A part of that reason is that it fits into that notion of being very personal, very, very personal and very immediate. That is by the nature of the raw footage. In that sense, it's also because of the way that it appears in your personal space on your private phone. And I want you to keep that in mind. That's why these phrases we talked about, and you'll hear through the seminar, about always on and full funnel, because it's so personal and because people are wandering around this digital landscape in their own free time. I looked up P8ers. I know we have some people from P8 here today, some of our clients from P8. I was looking at P8's website about 2 o'clock in the morning last night because I couldn't sleep. And that's the kind of thing people will sort of do. And because they can, you want to make sure that that funnel of bringing people from general awareness, where they first come across you, you start to engage with them and bring them down finally into conversion and donors. That's what that's always about. It's your shop always being open and knowing that they are shopping, they're personal shoppers, shopping for very personal things. And this is the last point I want to make to you. What's most key about it is about integrating your campaigns. Because your donor can wander around these personal spaces, but they can go to your Facebook, they can go to your website, they can look at something somebody shared with them on Instagram, they can look at ads that you posted, because they're flitting around all over it. The most powerful campaigns are the ones that tie all that together, that integrate it. And the best way to do that is with shared imagery, shared language, shared messaging, mirroring channels across all your channels, and integrating at source. This is why another grid for you of the digital landscape. The key concept of this is that they're all part of the same thing. You can use on any individual campaign, you can use your website, you can use Facebook, you can use video on demand, you can use them all, you can use any combination thereof. But the key point is that they're all parts of the same thing. So the more that you use them together, the stronger they will be. But using them together, you have to use them in an integrated way so that they rhyme, so that they feel like the same thing. So that wherever I go as your donor, across all of your digital channels, whatever ads that you target at me, which you can do, and the guys will take you through shortly as to how to do that most effectively. So it all feels like it's connected to the same landscape. I want to give you 2 examples of what I'm talking about. And again, I know we have some from the Focus Ireland team, the great digital team, actually, in Focus Ireland, who are here. This was last year's Christmas campaign that we ran with Focus Ireland. This was the direct mail appeal. But what we did was we integrated just the messaging and imagery at source. So that image was actually taken from video, so that online the ad could be live and living, using all the power of digital to be that immediate and engaging. It could then feature across all different channels, in programmatic ads that appeared on websites, in depods and outdoor facilities, and a great association they had with the Irish Rail. So again, this very dynamic sort of message is coming across in all kinds of different channels. It could be tied to all kinds of different campaign social medias. It could be played across all kinds of things on all the channels that Focus will engage with. We did something very similar with Pieta recently. We made some videos for their website, largely in and about us, but we did it in such a way as that it could be used in different ways. So we interviewed a raft of people, service users and therapists, and that material then became the source of a series of EDMs, a series of EDM videos that went with it. It promoted fundraising, it promoted Darkness into Light, it promotes awareness, it promotes services. So wherever you go across a number of different channels, it all feels part of the integrated, very personal, very intimate, but very integrated campaign. That's the secret to it. It's about keeping it simple. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to get under the hood and understand all the nuts and bolts of Google Analytics if you don't want to. There are plenty of people who can help you do that if you don't have the capacity yourself. But it's about doing something. It's about doing whatever you can to improve your digital. There was a stat that I flashed by earlier on. I think it was an organization in England called Next Level did a test where the personalization of what they call the envelope of an email brought about a 328%, I think it was, increase in opening rates. The personalization was where the email came from Alan Archbold at Persuasion, as opposed to just coming from Persuasion Republic. Just that little piece of personalization, that little piece of that little one step of improvement could have a 328% increase. They're the kind of little incremental steps. We talk about it all the time. You can take it off the screen there for a second, Kate. Thanks a million. We talk about it all the time about taking digital to the next level. We want to get to next level digital, which sounds really impressive. But the great thing about next level digital is that it's just the next level. It's just one step away. It's about putting little improvements in your email, little improvements in your social media, integrating those campaigns a little bit as much as you can, and using some of the tools that are at your disposal. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to ask Julia to come in and join me, who's going to start taking you through some of the tools available to you on social media. It's all yours, Julia.
Thank you, Alan. Hi, my name is Julia. I'm the paid social manager at Havas Media Ireland. And today I'll be talking about how you can start fundraising on social media. So we'll start talking about why social media is such a powerful channel. And then we'll talk about what are the fundraising tools available on Meta, on TikTok, on Twitter, and some best practices that can be applied to all social media platforms. So when drafting a social media strategy, I find it very useful to take a step back and think about why is this channel so effective. First of all, your posts and your ads show up in a non-intrusive and native way in your audience feeds. That means that if they're done really, really well, they don't feel like marketing. Secondly, social media help you make your brand human and conversational, and therefore more approachable and relatable. And this leads us to point 3. On social media, you can really connect with your supporters and build emotional bonds. And research has proven that's exactly what your supporters want. And finally, users browsing on social media are in that positive-minded discovery mood, and they are ready to discover new brands, new products, or new causes. So social media is a great channel to create demand. Now let's start talking about what's available on Meta. There are 2 ways to collect donations on Meta. The first one is by collecting donations through your Facebook page or Instagram profile. And the second one is to let supporters collect donation on your behalf. There are lots of options on Meta. Some of you might be already familiar with the most of them and using them every day. I'll just talk about the main ones. Page Fundraiser is not your Facebook page. It's a dedicated page that you can create to rally supporters around a cause or a fundraiser with a deadline. And what's cool is that this is also available for your supporters who can create their own page fundraiser and pledge to match donations for their nonprofit of choice. You can add a call to action, a donate button on your Facebook page, on your Instagram profile, and you can create a post with an added call to action, which is also available for your supporters. You can do live videos with donation button. You can add Instagram donation stickers to your Instagram stories, and your supporters can also do that on your behalf. There are lots of tools. We could be talking about what's available all day long, but I would just like to mention the last two. The first one is that you can thank your supporters personally with a customized answer every time they make donations. And the second one is that on Facebook, you can generate both single and recurring donations to increase the number of your monthly donors. Now, when you have a Facebook page, it doesn't mean you're automatically allowed to use all of these tools. The first thing you have to do is to sign up for Facebook and Instagram fundraising tools. And if you want your supporters to fundraise on your behalf, you need to sign up to accept donations on Facebook. Last thing to remember, if you want to collect donations directly on the Facebook app, you also need to register with MetaPay. Now, all the tools I've talked about today until now are organic tools. So it means that you don't need any advertising budget to use them. But the thing about an Instagram story or an organic post is they will mainly reach your existing followers base. If you want to reach out to new audiences and new potential donors, you need to use paid advertising. Paid advertising also allows you to generate engagement around a particular campaign, to increase traffic to your website, to recruit new volunteers or increase the number of newsletter subscribers, and last but not least, to increase donations and ROI. Facebook allows for extremely granular targeting options. You can target donors, you can target audiences according to their interests. For example, very specific interests like donation, fundraising, your competitors' names, but also very broad interests like fashion, family, cars. And you can also target users according to their behaviors online, to their education, and to their job titles. You can then create remarketing audiences and target users according to a certain percentage of your video they have watched, if they've engaged with your ads, if they visited your website, specific sections of your website, or they have taken a specific action on your website. You can then create affinity audiences of all the custom audiences that you've created. What I find really useful on Facebook is the possibility to upload donor lists that you might have collected from other sources. For example, your newsletter. You can upload these lists and maybe target these users with a specific message on Facebook, or maybe you can exclude them from a campaign. Or again, you can create an affinity audience based on your existing donors. A new ad format that has been rolled out this year is on Facebook donation ads. They're different from a classic conversion campaigns driving users to your website where they can then convert, because users will be able to automatically donate on the platform, creating a seamless donation experience and removing the friction of having to wait for the website to load. Of course, if the donors opt in for sharing their contact information, you can collect all the donors who've donated on Facebook and upload them to your CRM. Now, before I start diving into what's available on TikTok, I would just like to remind why is marketing on TikTok so different than any other platform. So on TikTok, you have your audience undivided attention. While user browsing on Instagram or on Twitter might be multitasking, so maybe also watching TV, on TikTok, they're just on TikTok. It's primarily an entertainment platform, so your video needs to be entertaining. TikTok is also fully sound on, so most users might consume content on other platforms with sound off. On TikTok, sound is really important. You should always pay really a really good attention to the background music or to the voice of the person speaking. TikTok users don't really connect over aspirational and polished content. Most TikTok videos might be shot in a living room. The common trait is that there is a person speaking directly to the camera and creating real emotions like joy, empathy, or surprise. And finally, TikTok users respond better to native style content. So make sure that you use the TikTok native text overlays, and especially that you leverage music trends and challenges that are going on at the moment. Last thing to remember, if you want to run cause-based campaigns, you need to be whitelisted as a government or NGO account. So of course, the tools that are available on TikTok are a bit less numerous than on Meta, that's been around for the longest. But there are a couple of really good options. The first one is that you can add a donation sticker to your video, similarly to what you can do on Instagram stories. And the second one is that you can experiment with your organic content and then promote only the best performing videos. This is possible, especially on TikTok, because on the For You page, you're not only served content that is, for example, from your followers or from the brand you follow. On the For You page, you get shown content based on what you've interacted with before. So that means that if you watch a lot of cat videos, you will be served more cat videos. And this leaves a lot of room for experimentation, because a video that gets a lot of engagement will get exponentially more reach. Something that I find that really works well on TikTok is lead generation ads. So lead generation can help you sign up volunteers for your nonprofit, or generate more monthly givers, or again, increase the number of your newsletter subscribers. When a user clicks on a lead gen ad, a form opens up that is completely customizable. So you can customize image, text, and the questions, the information you are requesting the user to submit. And then, of course, all these data can be downloaded and uploaded to your CRM. Now, again, before talking about what you can do on Twitter, I would just like to remind you, why is this platform so unique? So the power of Twitter lies in the incredible speed at which news and information spread, and also in the real-time conversations happening between users. This is because Twitter is built on communities. It's a dedicated space where people share, connect, and talk about the topics they care about the most. So it's the perfect platform where you can build genuine relationships with your supporters, which, as I've said, it's exactly what they expect. One more tip: don't ignore negative comments. There will always be negative comments on Twitter, but it's important to address and reply to all of them, because it shows to your audience that you care. And last thing to remember, if you want to run ads about social equity or environmental causes on Twitter, you need to register for cause-based advertising. So you might have noticed that Twitter is a much less visual platform than Instagram on TikTok. And that's because words are really important. People follow hashtags on Twitter. There are communities that can be created around hashtags. So keyword targeted campaigns are really effective. Think about Giving Tuesday. So every year, searching for the hashtag, you get thousands of posts of people who've donated and use the hashtag to feel part of a community. Now, it's important to remind your donors, your supporters, how many things you've done with their donations. A Twitter moment allows you to create a collection of previous posts, conversation, live commentary, and to tell a story, for example, of all the milestones you've achieved in the past 3 months or all the people you've helped in the past year. Now, if you decide to run Twitter ads, you should know that even Twitter allows for very granular targeting. You can target people according to keywords, hashtags, conversation topics, but also interests and the follower lookalikes of your competitors. Twitter as a platform allows for many campaign formats, but what I find works really well are lead generation cards again to expand your email audience. Now, some best practices that can be applied to all social media platforms are, for example, to maintain an active presence all year long. So don't disappear in January and show up again in October, asking your donors to donate to your cause. Keep an always-on approach to stay on your audience top of mind all year long. Leverage hashtags like Giving Season, Giving Tuesday, make a difference because they do amplify reach. Keep up the momentum throughout the campaign, sharing and updating your supporters about the milestones that you've achieved and all the good things you've done to keep them motivated. Remember that authenticity is important, especially on social media. UGC and branded content will always work best than traditional advertising. And finally, always remember to thank donors and cultivate genuine relationships, because in the end, we are all humans and we want to feel important. I think that's all from me, from my side. So I'll hand over to Alan.
Thanks a million, Julia. Kate, you have stop sharing the screen. There you go. Thanks a million, Julia. It's gas. I always feel that it's so interesting that these things seem so technical. When you break them down, they become much simpler. Daniel is going to join us now and do much the same.
Hi, good afternoon.
Daniel. Daniel's going to guide us through the wonderful world of search engine optimization.
Cheers, thank you.
It's all yours.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm the head of SEO and owned media at Havas Media, and today we're just going to be talking through some optimization techniques that we can use on the non-paid side of digital. So I'm just going to share some slides with you and kind of talk you through an overall of what SEO can do for you and how you can use it to increase visibility of your website outside just paid ads itself. So for SEO, for anyone that isn't aware, is search engine optimization, and it's the process of enhancing the visibility of your owned assets. Well, in this presentation, we're mostly going to be talking through your website and how we can increase website visibility through researching into your audience and building out content. You can also take these methods to use them for social media, YouTube, and across the board on a wider set of areas. So with SEO, you will be able to build a long-lasting performance improvements and a better understanding of your audience. In the first part of my presentation today, we will be talking through this section and how you can research into your audience to then actually create the content to improve visibility of your website. And then moving into the second part, we'll be looking into conversion rate optimization and how you can make sure that users are clicking through after clicking onto your website so that they're moving through to actually donate and to move into becoming a conversion. And the brilliant thing about SEO is that when you optimize your website, it'll lead to stronger conversion rates across all digital channels. Because while other channels focus on getting people to your website, what we can do with this is make sure that we're understanding user behavior once they're on site and how we can make sure to guarantee that they're actually a conversion rate. I have two little points here just to give you some stats on SEO and kind of the benefits of using it. And that is that 75% of people never scroll past the first 10 results of a search engine. And that web pages ranking in position 1 have a 32% click-through rate. And to kind of explain search engines, we're going to move into that in a second. But first of all, I just want to show you the agenda for today so you can follow along. So we're going to start off by understanding the search engine's results page. I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of this because I think for a lot of people it seems unapproachable, but I kind of want to make that more approachable so you can understand what listings mean. Then we're going to move into researching search queries that users would have and how you can turn these insights from what your users into actual content to increase the visibility on your website. And then finally, we're going to be going into user experience and how to actually get users to convert once they're onto your website. So to start, on the right side here, you can see there is a search engine. You might be familiar with this yourself. If you are to put something into Google, you will get this kind of a result. So I kind of just wanted to break this down for you so you can get a better understanding of how this works. So everything you see here is non-paid and it's only coming through from organic results, which are based on what Google is able to pull from websites or other kind of owned assets. And the top section here is known as a search query, which is how to donate to animal shelters is what I've put in here. And the way Google shows what it's going to actually show users is it treats your search query or your search term as kind of a problem. And what it wants to do is it wants to give you a solution to that problem. So all the results here are what Google believes is relevant to that search query that was entered and that it believes will answer that search query as well. So it's a great thing to note, this kind of search query here and other ones as we go, that this is really good research if you are planning on creating pages. We'll just move on to the map section here now, which is the local pack. And you can see here it's in a green box. This is from organizations near where you search. So Google as a base will naturally pull a geo-targeting from your location of wherever you did a search. So for this, because I searched in Dublin for how to donate to animal shelters, it gave me results within the Dublin area. But if I was to change my search query to how to donate to animal shelters and put in a location, all the results would actually change to be targeted for that area. So it's just something to keep in mind. The blue section here is the people also ask. And what's really great about this is that it's a section that actually shows you similar search results to what you actually just searched for. And this is really good, and do note this for any research or any potential content you could create down the line, because this gives you further insight into what users might be asking. The final section here is at the bottom here, we can see DSPC is turning up for donate, and this is rank 1. So this is the section we were previously talking about that has a 32% click-through rate. Google shows pages in order of relevance and how important they are to the search query. So it's something to note here that we're going to try to get to this section. And some quick tips on how to actually get there. So with tip 1 is to provide answers to audience search queries on site. And tip 2 is to create content that is seen as valuable or educational, as Google sees this as more worthwhile to show. So our first section is actually going to be talking through this, so I'll guide you through that in a second. An additional thing will be to create a Google My Business account. Now, this is mostly for footfall traffic, but again, by having a Google My Business account, which is a listing of your property on the Google Maps, you will turn up in that local pack section that we showed previously on the search engine. So it's worth having. And section 4 is references to your business name, address, phone number on your website, and also on your Google My Business if you have it. What this does is give citations that links your website to additional places that reference this. So that way, if someone is to reference your business name or even your phone number on their website, Google sees that other people are linking to you and thinks, oh, your website must be really good and not a spammy site. And it's going to increase your visibility too. The fifth piece is just to keep your load times under 2 seconds. Load times are really beneficial in terms of like just keeping people on site and getting them to engage. But it also interacts with Google, and Google has these crawler bots it sends out. And if your page takes a long time to load, it will also affect Google. And the last piece is just to build authority with Google. And by doing all these above pieces and what we're going to be talking through today, you're basically building authority with Google, which is like an invisible trust rank. And the more trust your website and sees it as a valuable piece of web property, the more likely it is to show it. So we're just going to move into our search queries and content. And in this section, we're just going to talk through how we can research this and how we can actually build this out further. So the first part is how to find search queries. And a great technique I find to find search queries for free is by partially writing suggestions in the Google search bar. And this might be something you've seen yourself in the past when you are writing something into Google search, that Google will try to finish your sentence for you. What this is doing is it's gathering information from your local region and the top searches from what you've wrote so far. So this actually is a good way of seeing what people in your region are searching for. With COVID as well, since people are working remotely, this could actually be a good way to get people in your offices to check their local regions as well, just to see if there is additional search queries for those places. And something as well that you can add in is by adding an asterisk before a word, Google will show results that have something between the words. So here in the bottom right, you can see how to space asterisk charity, and it's showing me results for how to start a charity, how to raise money for charity, and it's showing me other search queries that people have and have been searching, but that I myself might not know. So if you have a specific term that you want to kind of look into search terminology for, if you add an asterisk before it, Google will start pulling out sentences for you. And once you get this in, you can kind of start developing search queries to then use that on site. But some additional tools you can use for this are Answer the Public and Also Asked, which are basically nicer visualizations of what you just saw from what you can do on Google. It basically pulls in nice infographics. There's also Keyword Surfer, which is a Chrome extension which highlights similar keywords and estimated monthly search volumes for search queries once you press enter. This is free and just connects to your search engine browser. And the last piece here is just paid tools such as Ahrefs and SEMrush, which are limited free versions, but you can use these as well to get more insights into user volume and search queries. With these, what we're really looking for is that you're able to compile a list of search queries that start kind of mapping out, oh, I could create content to answer problems people have and provide solutions for them to increase the visibility of my website. And when you're doing that, it's important to look into the user intent behind your search queries. So once you have your search queries, what's important to note is that 90% of all of them fall under 4 categories. These are informational, navigational, commercial, and transactional. And each of these actually align with the conversion funnel. So you can actually place your donor search queries into specific categories based on where they would fall on the informational, navigational, commercial, or transactional, but also where they would be on the funnel. So this way, if users are doing what is, how, or why should search queries, we know that it's informational intent, and that itself should be kind of at the start of the funnel. And those people probably aren't going to donate right away, but that we could put more informational content out there for them. A way to do this once you didn't actually have your content, you have it laid out, I find is to use content calendars, which can help you kind of lay out a more kind of a breakdown of all the research that you have done. You don't have to lay it out like this, but it's just kind of an example of what we would do. And you might notice that we have a H1 here, which is actually the keywords that you will be targeting our search query. So H1 is just a header tag, and it's just something that lets you know where to put it on a page once you're creating the content. And by having this, we're just kind of saying that for this one, how to know if you're ready to adopt a dog, for example, that my page that I'm creating, that is the focus search term. And what I'm going to answer in the next 125 words is going to solve that so that Google knows my page answers that question if people have that search query. And then this lets us to kind of progress on building other pages. And with this as well, we can add in other search queries as subheadings, and you can really build out your content. And it's important as well just to make sure that if you are creating content, to make sure that you have it at a steady pace, because you don't want to be spamming with your uploads either, because then it looks like your website's quite spammy. So let's put it all together really fast. So you want to discover what your audience is searching for with your search queries or intent research. User research start planning content answers the queries users have using a content calendar can help visualize this. You can build out the layout of the content as well, making sure to answer this in the first 125 words. Make sure that you're writing for the user and that your content is meaningful. And always keep in mind the end goal, which is the user. So you're all content experts now, and we have the users on site. Right? We need to make sure that we're actually giving a good user experience and that people are able to navigate okay. So the first step here is checking into your loading speed of a website. So your loading speed is actually a major factor in user experience and conversion rate. And you probably know yourself, but if a website takes a while to load, you get frustrated, you might leave, you might not go back to it. But it turns out 53% of mobile site visits are abandoned if pages take longer than 3 seconds to load. And it's good to note as well that a loading speed of 2.4 seconds have the average conversion rate of 1.9%. While if that was to increase to 5.7 seconds, the conversion rate actually drops to 0.6%. So it's really vital to kind of bring in mind, page speed and how your pages are performing per user. A way to look into this is some tools that we have listed here, such as Web Page Test, SEO Optimer, and GTmetrix. With these, you can actually test individual pages. So if you have a campaign page, you can test it with these, or also the donation page, because that's a high area where people will want to click through. But if your button takes a while to load and the page kind of slows down, people are likely to leave. So make sure that when you're testing these, you test your donation page and also your campaign landing pages. And you can give all your results into your web developers and they can help fix it, or you could even get in touch with us here at Havas. An additional piece that you can do is heat maps. So heat maps are tools such as Crazy Egg, Microsoft Clarity, and Hotjar, which give you additional insights into how users are interacting with your web pages. You place these on site and you can leave them over like several weeks and they'll gather information of how users are actually interacting with your web page. Over here on the right, I've given you an example of a scroll map, which basically shows you how users are viewing your website. The higher the color, the more users are kind of looking there. So the bright color at the top will be 75% to 100% of visitors seeing this, but the blue section is actually less than 25%. Having this on site and kind of using this is a good insight into if your buttons are actually in places users are reading, and if they're reading the content you want them to read to navigate to the next section of your web page. Additional sections such as interactions we have down here on the right. Each of these tools have various things that they can do, but interactions are across the board, which show you how users are clicking and interacting with your web page and let you see if users are actually clicking on links that are interactable or if they're clicking somewhere that might be causing them frustration, which could cause them to leave. And all of these just kind of give you additional insights into user experience and how you can change maybe the layout of your website to increase conversion rate. So 4 quick tips to improve your donation button success. Use contrasting colors. The button should stand out from the rest of the page. This just highlights it more to users. You can also make the button bigger than the other elements on page to highlight it's important, but also don't do it too large because you don't want to overshadow the rest of the page. And people might be trying to look at content, so you kind of want them to make sure they're reading the content first. Font should be legible and text should be direct. So you kind of want them to the point if they're going to donate, make sure they know what's coming and what's ahead of them. And you also want to keep this above the fold and also on every page. So above the fold is when you first load a web page, the first thing that appears is actually the above the fold content before you have to do any scrolling. So some users might want to look into more informational intent and it might not be there to donate right away. You'll have decided this on your user intent earlier. But what you can do is have the donate button on every page. So that way, once the user makes up their mind, that they can then become a donor without having too many clicks. And then finally as well, I just want to show you the best practices of kind of pages. And I hope Focus Ireland don't mind me showing their donation page here. It was a bit of a standout, so go Focus Ireland. But all form entries are visible without scrolling is something that's very important to actually have in place. Users don't like doing too much interaction, so the less interaction they have to do, the better. All forms are viewable to start. Users are less likely to complete a donation if multiple steps are required. But if you do have multiple steps, make sure to keep it less than 3 because it drops off quite drastically afterwards. You can do something like this on the right where it's all visible. And also to allow custom donation amounts, as users are more likely to engage when they can fill in their own donations. You can see with Focus Ireland here at the bottom that I was so impressed with how easy it was. So I actually nearly donated €32,000. So, you know, something to keep in mind. And that's all from me.
Thanks a million, Daniel. I'm going to sit in beside you again. Kate, we've stopped sharing screen. I'm very conscious of people's time. We have, of course, ran on, which is my fault. I want Julie, if you want to jump in with us again. We've had questions coming in on the Q&A, and through some people have been emailing and texting us the questions. There's very little time. The first key question to answer is, I know there's been an awful lot of material that's gone through over the last little while, and lots to digest. You will, of course, be able to access the recording of this through the webinar link, and we'll have the presentation as a PDF that you can we can email and you can download. And if there's any other questions that strike you over time, let us know. If there's any specific issues you'd like us to cover in the next session, this day next week, do let us know in advance, and we'll see if we can put them in. There was one question that came up I wanted to ask, and this was for you, Daniel. The changes coming forth in Google Analytics.
Yeah, so actually, people might not be aware of this, but there is a changeover coming to Google Analytics if you're using this as a reporting software. So from July 2023, Google Analytics, Universal Analytics, and Universal Analytics 360, which are a type of Google Analytics platform, will actually start being discontinued. So if you're using Google Analytics to record your data, we'd kind of encourage you to start now kind of looking into something else or somewhere else to move to. What Google is trying to do is it's trying to bring people over to GA4, which is Google Analytics 4, which is kind of like a newer updated version that can track additional data and give you insights into how users are interacting with pages, how long they're staying on there. And there's a very easy way of migrating your actual current Google Analytics to that version through the property settings if you were to go in to create a new one on GA4. And all this can be done through Google Analytics. So it's not to worry about, but if you do have any queries about it, do reach out to the team and I can give you more of the details on it.
Another question that came up actually was because I was the first one who mentioned the dreaded C word, Christmas, that we are there. This is for Julia in terms of what's your sort of top advice for people as they prepare for sort of social campaigns in particular with Christmas looming or beginning?
Yeah, so first of all, it will probably be tougher this year because of the economic crisis, and also because an increasing number of charities are investing on social media. So the cost of advertising has probably gone up versus last year. At the same time, you need to keep investing in this channel, and it's important to stand out from your competitors. So again, have really engaging creatives, have a champion, have a person speaking directly to connect with your audience in your ads is fundamental. And finally, diversify your channel. So don't just stick to one, but try and test all the channels that your budget allow you to.
Yeah, perfect. I'm very conscious of people's time. I'm very conscious of the fact that it's nearly lunchtime and people want to go. I hope you found something of use there. I know there's a lot more to come in the next session, an awful lot of really practical tools that you can use. I've had the benefit of seeing these presentations already and going through them at my own snail's pace. I'd encourage you to do the same. Look at the recording, go back through it, look at the PDFs, go through it. There's an awful lot of nuggets of really practical steps and information that the guys have taken us through. I hope I've given you some insight and help as well. And there's a lot more to come next Thursday. So please do join us. A big thank you to Kate and to James who've been working technicals here. Before we go, I want to leave you with one thing. The technical gremlins, I hope we've got rid of. I did attempt to show you John Wall before. So given the week that's in it, Mary Keating's prostate cancer campaign that is running, I'd like you to go back to John Wall to give him a say. So hopefully this works this time. There's so many things plugged into so many other things. It may not work. Can you share the screen, Kate? And we hope to see you next week. And I'll leave you with the wonderful John Wall, who's helping to raise awareness of prostate cancer. For all the men who are watching, I'm speaking to myself as well. Please go get yourself checked. This is the power of digital. It can make that happen. Sorry, beg your pardon. I'm sitting on the buttons.
When I look back on it now, there were a lot of warning signs that were there, but I didn't recognize them. And well, if I had done, it would never have happened. It would never have led to the diagnosis that ultimately led to that my cancer would have been spotted in time. It would have been treatable, and I would have gone on to live a long, happy, healthy life. But unfortunately, that won't be the case now. It'll be happy, but it won't be long and healthy.
Thank you, folks. Have a great rest of the week. We'll see you next week.